Back. Well, the organisation representing workers at the ANC has been talking today. They still haven't been paid their full salaries for some time. This organisation is now accusing the ANC of breaking the very labour laws that it fought for. You know, the ANC has been in a huge cash crunch since last year. It seems, maybe coincidentally, that part of the reason is the introduction of the Political Party Funding Act. Thembani Makata is the Johannesburg staff representative for workers at the ANC. She works at Luthuli House. Well, I don't know if she's actually going into Luthuli House at the moment, because many workers are not actually going into work because they haven't been paid. Let her speak for herself. Thembani, good afternoon to you. I really appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for having us here.
When were workers in the ANC actually last paid? When did you last get a full salary?
Look, for some of us, our last salary, after not being paid for 3 months, we were paid in November. Surely that was after we promised that we'll be paid for the entire 3 months outstanding salary, including your December salary. So they paid us in November and they only paid us for 2 months. And so we went into December with no salary. We are in January now. We literally don't know what's going to happen, because there's nothing that is being said or that it's tangible that the leadership is giving us about our salaries.
So you represent workers in Joburg. Do you know if every single person employed by the party, which would include the Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General, the National Treasurer, other officials, is this affecting everybody? Is no one who works for the ANC getting paid at the moment, as far as you know?
We can't really confirm that with certainty, because from our side, we are representing staff, not necessarily the political leadership. So we would not know how they are standing, how their welfare is. But one thing we know for a fact is that most of ANC staff members are not paid. Despite the attempts to say those who are working in provincial offices must be paid by provinces, but there are some provinces that are unable to meet that particular request, and that's, you'll have some provinces that are suffering the same fate as those that are being paid at Luthuli House who are yet not paid.
So your response, part of your response is actually being to not go in, to not work, is that right?
We are forced to stay away from work, because remember, it was December soon. Some people had gone home, right? Most of us are not from Johannesburg. So some had gone home, some are still here. But the reality of the matter, how do you expect ANC staff members to go to work if you have not given them money for fuel? They don't have money for food. Some of them, they are being chased out of the houses that they stay in. So really, we are literally being forced by the leadership not to work. It's a forced stay away that we are in.
Are there any other options? So you're not working, so the ANC is not getting value from you. You've held protests, you've met with top officials. I don't know what else there is to do.
It's really heartbreaking. You know, we are trying by all means to exhaust all avenues. We have gone to Nehau. There were some lawyers that came to us trying to understand our case, if they can maybe seek a legal route. Those are the options that we are now currently looking at, because at some point it gets disappointing when you realize that actually it's as though our cry is falling on deaf ears, because our issues are not just issues of salaries. It goes beyond the issue of just getting a salary at the end of the month. We've had staff passing away. You don't know what happens to their families, because, well, we don't have UIF, we don't have Provident Fund. Our policies have lapsed. So in general, it's just beyond the issue of salaries. So we've been crying out to whomever that can be able to come and hear us and take our case up, to see how we can actually get the leadership to take the matter very seriously, and not to treat it as a by-the-way thing, as something that is well sorted out once we've done with our own issues.
So it's interesting you say that, because I think the ANC's response has been, and this is a matter of public record, that the governing party doesn't actually have money. And there are various reasons why that is. Do you believe them when they say they don't have money? Do you believe your employer?
Look, I don't even think it's a matter of believing them. It's a matter of the lack of a political will from our leadership to find a solution to the problem that we're facing. I find it very hard to comprehend the fact that from the president up until to all the NDC members that we have, honestly, there hasn't been a way to sort out the current challenges that are facing the African National Congress. And we really reject the continued quoting of the Political Funding Act as if it's something that has just propped up since. We've had this problem since. Our issues go beyond to 2018. So what was the challenge from then? Why has it been left from that time up until now that it has not been resolved? And we can't act as surprised from acts that are actually supported by us in Parliament and now want to crow foul as though we are a leadership that can't plan ahead and is unable to foresee what any act or any law would have an implication in terms of the organization that is being run.
There are all sorts of things here. Are there any specific leaders that you blame, or is it everybody on the NEC? Let me put it like that.
We won't single out anyone. You know, when we speak about the African National Congress, we believe in collectivism. So we'll start right from the president right until to say if there really was a political will to find a solution to this problem, they would have found it. We just think that it's not being prioritized or it's not being seen as something that really needs to be addressed and corrected.
So you can see I'm trying to find out if you support a faction and you don't.
No.
So in a way, one of the problems with all of this is that the Secretary-General himself is suspended. The Deputy Secretary-General, let me make sure I get that right, the Deputy Secretary-General, Jesse Duarte, is unfortunately unwell and I think is going to be unavailable for some time. So Paul Machatile, who's also the Treasurer, was, I think, tasked this week with being the Acting Secretary-General. I don't even know if that's constitutional under the ANC's constitution, but I think it probably must be in the end. Are those problems making it harder for you? Because, I mean, the Secretary-General is actually the accounting officer as the ANC, would be the employer. So does all of that make it harder, that there's these problems that have happened in the party?
I certainly would not think that it's making our lives easier, especially with the running of the organization being that it requires a day-to-day running of the organization. So when you then take more responsibilities and you place them in a particular office, of course we can't really say for now how is that coming. It's just started. We want to see how that is going to turn out. But for us, really, we remain with the understanding that at the end of the day, we have people that are employed in the office that are supposed to be full-time in the office. So when they are supposed to be ensuring that the day-to-day running of the organization continues, that's what we expect them to do. And if the NEC has seen it fit to give it to Comrade TG to then act on that particular place, that is the decision of the NEC. Ours is really on our issues of making sure that as employees, as we go to office and we continue to work, can we at least be respected, at least our welfare, and meet their end of the bargain in ensuring that our salaries and every other benefits are taken care of.
So in a way, as workers who haven't been paid, your creditors, your people the ANC owes money to, do you know if the ANC owes money to anyone else? I mean, it has meetings at St. George's Hotel. Is it up to date there? Are there other people maybe it owes money to?
Look, for the ANC, I can't speak on that, whether it's in terms of its own debts. But we know that as staff we are owed, and we are owing other people that are giving us sleepless nights to say, look, when are you paying your bond? When are you paying your cars? Our children are not able to go to school because we do not have means to send them to school. So for our side as staff, really, that's where our focus is, and trying to find solution on those matters.
It's difficult to, in an economy where everyone is employed, if someone is not paid by their boss, they would eventually just leave. They'll put in a claim, they'll say we want to get paid for the work that we've done, but we'd go and work for someone else. In our economy, you can't really do that because, where else are people going to find a job? I mean, that's what really gives you such few options here, doesn't it?
Unfortunately, yes. Even COVID-19 has not done justice to our economy. And it's not to say people that are employed by the ANC are not looking. I'm sure any of us, if they were to be offered a job, they would jump for it. But, we have the highest youth unemployment. We have just generally unemployment has gone up. So it becomes a problem for us to say we can just drop everything and go. And especially when you know that even when you leave, issues like a provident fund are even in arrears. So it becomes such a serious decision to make for those who want to say they want to leave and then be unemployed and look for a job. rather than to sit and hope that the leadership would then hear our plea and at least consider our welfare and that of our families, and in general the people that are being assisted by their employees to come on board and listen and take our matters serious.
Thembani, thank you for coming in. It's a very difficult situation that you face. Thank you.
Thank
Thembani
you very
Makata
much.
is the Johannesburg representative of the organisation representing ANC workers in Johannesburg. She works, of course, at Lutuli House.